This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Our guest today has worked her way up from guest roles in TV shows such as House of Cards and Billions, landing her breakthrough role in the hugely successful Scream TV show. More recently, she's been on our screens in the pivotal roles in Netflix's The Fall of the House of Usher and Amazon's flagship show, Reacher. We chat about how acting was never the goal growing up and more of a happy accident, how she prepares for her roles, and her latest performance in the truly exhilarating Strange Darling. Our guest today is actress Willa Fitzgerald.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, very good. I heard that I'm the very last person that you're speaking to. I don't know if that's true, so bear with me. You're nearly there. You're getting through it. Um, I want to ask, because my podcast is usually about, how people's careers start, where that love of acting came from, and I'd love to ask you, obviously you're doing incredibly well. You've done so many great projects. But how did that love start? Where did that come from?
Mm, I mean, I think that I I wasn't one of those kids that, puts on plays and like wants people to like watch them doing their plays. I was like the kid who like ran around in my backyard like talking to myself like alone, like making up stories. And I think that for me, acting and like and telling stories has always been a way of understanding my own emotional landscape and has always given me an outlet that felt sort of safe for my emotions and the things that I'm experiencing. And so I think that like my connection to acting came from that at a very young age. And I don't think, but I don't, for it took a very long time and many years for me to ever even entertain the possibility of being an actor. I think I was very attached to the idea of not being an actor. My parents are musicians, and I knew how fraught a creative life could be, and I really kind of wanted to be like a professor. I was like, how can I like have a normal job? And I loved school, so I was like really seeking that out. And so it was one of those kind of funny things where acting kind of fell into my lap largely. And I got very lucky and started working right away. But I think that, the origin story of it kind of just, did stem from a place of just loving the freedom of being able to explore feelings kind of like unburdened by consequence, like it was all make believe and pretend. And I think that that was the start.
Mm-mm. And in terms of, I'm an actor myself, so getting to see someone, your career starting, the sort of 2007, 2006, 2000, that time, and seeing all the jobs and the stepping stones that make a career. I love having people on like you, where you see the steps and the process and how you've got to where you are. By no means is it an overnight success, and now you're doing great projects. I mean, like House of Fall of Usher, big fan of that show, and seeing you in that, and the performance you gave. Is it weird to look back at where it all started and the first couple of jobs to see where you are now? Can you look at that and kind of, think, wow, that's
Uh,
amazing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I've done that I've never watched. I don't generally like love to watch things that I've done. And it is, I think that I mean, I had done theater for years and years, but my first film work was really like my first film work. And like it's always interesting, and it's a great privilege to get to be working and like learning on the job, as it were. And it's also, I'm sure if I went back and watched that stuff now, I'd be like, ooh. And so I don't do that to myself. But like there is, I think that yeah, I mean, it definitely is something that um it is striking, and I feel very lucky because not everyone gets to have all of those opportunities. But yeah, I've gone on quite a journey over the past decade or so, and it is really fun in retrospect to kind of like see how things lead to one another in some way, because obviously that's nothing that you can plan for or chart out or make happen. It kind of is just what happens by saying yes to things.
Mm. And is there a piece of advice, if you could give yourself going back to where you started, is there any advice you'd give yourself?
Oh, Any advice I'd give myself? I mean, I think I just say trust the process. I mean, I think that there's a lot of angst earlier on, especially when you don't necessarily feel totally connected to the things that you're doing. And I think there's sort of the angst that comes from wanting to do things that feel challenging in a way, and not necessarily having access to those opportunities. But I think looking back on it, I don't think I would have been ready for this sort of job then. And so I think there's a lot of value in sort of letting things take their course and kind of surrendering to that experience, because there is nothing you can do to control it.
Yeah.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly.
Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/life in film, where you'll get episodes early and uncut, amongst other treats. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life in Film Pod, and find our video episodes on YouTube by searching Elliot James Langridge Life in Film. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by Betterhelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9 to 5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills, or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone for me was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm.
And back to the show.
First off, I just want to say that this film is my film of the year. I absolutely loved it. Completely taken by surprise by it, because I think, as you and me, everyone knows that seen this movie, you want to see this film without knowing anything about it. And I really didn't know anything. So going in, I was like, "Ugh," when I was watching it. To ask, how did this project come about? And where did your involvement start with this?
I got a call from my agent who basically was like, I have this movie that you have to read and I think you have to do it. And I immediately read the script. I called her back and I was like, oh, you're right. I have to do this movie. How are we going to get it? And I distinctly remember just feeling that it was the best script I'd read. And that it was so clear that JT had a very distinct vision and a very distinct perspective and a story that he definitely knew how he wanted to tell. And we had a conversation, JT and I, over Zoom. I think he had COVID at the time, actually. And so, but he was like excited to meet. And so we had this conversation, and I think we both just walked away being like, ooh, we kind of get each other, and there's an exciting sort of synergy happening. And then here we are now, made the movie. And yeah, I feel very grateful to have been given that opportunity.
I mean, what an incredible role.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. And it must have just been so much fun. And it's hard to talk about because obviously we don't want to give anything away. But you get to kind of play a little bit of a tightrope there with the character, and as an audience member, you don't really know where it's going to go. Was that fun to get to sort of play that, the two ends of the spectrum with that character?
Well, I think that for me, the lady is how I prepped this script and how I prepped this character was I put the script in chronological order, And I just looked at what the emotional arc was, what the physical arc was, and what the psychological arc was. And then I had this sort of scaffolding on which I knew where kind of everything rested. And then it was about building out, because, you know, all of these characters are very archetypal and allegorical, and there's not a lot of backstory, and there doesn't need to be. But as an actor, I kind of needed to give myself some things to hang on to. And so then I kind of went in and created what I needed to do the job I needed to do. And I guess at the end of the day, for me, like, the story is really about this woman who is in desperate need of human connection and is trying to find it. And there's an essential betrayal of trust, which kind of breaks the world, and everything else goes from there. And I think that, you know, for me, it was most important to keep the character and everything that happens for the character just grounded in the truth of the circumstances, and to try to, you know, embody that like as authentically as I could.
It's honestly, I'm not just saying this, is an incredible performance and really blew me away. I'm very familiar with your work, and I've seen you in things, you're always brilliant, but this was like, it really took my breath away, genuinely. It was just an astonishing performance. But anyway, sorry, I'll stop gushing.
Most embarrassing moments,
And I mean, we have to wrap up soon, and I have a question which I always ask. It's a bit silly question, but do you have, and for an actor, I feel like it's usually a auditioning moment or something like that. Do you have an embarrassing moment that you're willing to share with our audience?
Oh God.
Put you on the spot there.
Oh my God. An embarrassing moment. I've never been embarrassed in my life. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think embarrassment is like generally where I go, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I go into like anxiety panic.
Oh,
You
no.
know, like, I feel like that's like where my like emotional arc takes me if I feel like I've, you know, made a fool of myself in some way. But no, I don't think I have any good stories for you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't worry, not to worry at all. We've run out of
I
time
wish I
anyway.
had one. I wish I had one.
No, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure, and all the best with the film. And I can't wait to see it on the big screen. I saw it on a
Oh,
little
good. Oh,
screener,
nice.
so I'm looking forward to seeing it on the
Oh,
big screen.
definitely go.
Yeah.
It's very fun in the
Thank you to our guest Willa, and thank you to her team at the Lede Company. As always, thank you to our sponsor, Betterhelp. Strange Darling is in cinemas now, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you enjoyed this and want to have a more in-depth look into Strange Darling, go and listen to Life in Film with actor Giovanni Ribisi, who did some exceptional work as cinematographer on this movie.